bright as the people. It's a great life, eh, Bob? And you too, Judy. And tomorrow will be even better for you and for all the people.
I don't like girls.
There it is, that feeling that something has been lost. The agitation that comes from seeing your beloved sci-fi series that was so inspirational to your childhood or in your life dissolves into a sick parody of itself, an unrecognizable joke, a corruptible narrative that has infected shows like Star Wars, Doctor Who, Star Trek, and many more. Your immediate reaction is you want to blame someone for the pain you are feeling, and let's not get it twisted, you are suffering through pain, psychological scars that should never be minimized. These shows for years have emotional connections, and seeing them abused and used in ways that are disingenuous to what it once stood for, it's quite simply devastating, and don't let anyone tell you the pain isn't real. You see, these shows are produced and made in ways to bond with you. When that contractual bond is forcibly broken, it causes a mental backlash. So you are justified to feel anger, sadness, and even rage, but in that emotional state you're in, your instinctual reaction could be to look for someone to blame, maybe a liberal conspiracy or forced social acceptance, or maybe DEI artificial compliance. But is that really the whole story? Don't get me wrong, they all play a part in this farce. But don't you feel in your gut that there's something missing in this equation? Why are corporations that are desperate for profit pushing things that are unprofitable? To begin the unraveling of this mystery, we must establish an absolute fact, because everything that comes after this hinges on this certainty, and that is, mega corporations do not do anything strictly from a political, ideological lens. They only worship at the altar of profit. Profit at all costs that could be legally justified. I say that in quotes. Corporations are strange creatures that are not wired to be liberal or conservative. They have no national loyalties because they are amoral entities. Then the question still remains, why are they pushing this narrative? Well, I'm about to expose the truth to you, and to be clear, this is not guesswork. As a CEO, I can tell you they have a very, very dark pathology that guides them.
You ask me if I have a God complex? Let me tell you something. I am God.
They act in many ways as farmers do. They prepare the ground for cultivation and for future harvesting. The analogy of what that means will be touched on later. But right now you might be saying, what's the connection between that mindset and your favorite sci-fi shows? Just think about it. Have you ever had that feeling that your favorite sci-fi shows are being attacked? The shows that you grew up with are being systematically gutted right before your eyes, with lackluster story-driven plots and forced sociological behavior agendas. But every time you express these concerns about the shows you grew up with are being unfairly treated, you are belittled, call the name, and label a derogatory title. If you ever had that feeling, your observations are valid and justified. What you're seeing here, it's not an attack only on your favorite sci-fi series, but in actuality a proxy war, an attack on critical thinking, not only by the corporate industrial complex, but by the system itself. Having critical thinkers en masse is never a good thing for a society that likes to hide its dirty laundry behind false smiles. So, let me explain why your favorite sci-fi shows are being targeted, because they are schools of thought to motivate critical thinking. Twilight Zone, Star Trek, and Doctor Who were all shows for critical thinkers to think outside the box. The Twilight Zone, Star Trek, and Doctor Who are widely regarded as foundational science fiction pillars that encouraged critical thinking, intellectual engagement, and looking beyond societal norms. By using fantastical, futuristic, or alien settings, these shows allowed creators to bypass censorship and directly tackle complex themes like racism, Cold War paranoia, environmentalism, and the ethics of technology. The Twilight Zone from 1959 through 1964 used philosophical parables with social commentary from Rod Serling. He used his show like an electronic town hall meeting, using sci-fi and horror to explore social issues like racism, conformity, and McCarthyism. Episodes such as The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street warned against prejudice, scapegoating, and the dangers of mob mentality. Star Trek original series from 1966 through 1969 emphasized an optimistic future. The show promoted a humanist philosophy, emphasizing that humanity can overcome its savage instincts through reason, empathy, and intellectual problem solving. Doctor Who, the original series that began in 1963, was a show where the main character, the Doctor, would frequently resolve conflicts through intelligence rather than violence, often using books, reason, intellect, and even love as weapons rather than outright violence, encouraging viewers to think of creative ways for peaceful solutions. A quick side note, that pedigree alone is what makes this particular series so hated by corporate executives today, because the series has consistently challenged authority figures and corrupt systems like the Time Lords or corporations throughout its long run, which is technically why this show will have a hard time ever reclaiming its glory days. Star Wars also fosters critical thinking by presenting complex moral, ethical, and political themes within a clear narrative, challenging audiences to analyze, question, and evaluate the actions of its characters. It encourages critical thinking through ethical questioning. It prompts deeper analysis of authority versus freedom, such as Empire versus Rebellion, and even questions the nature of power, such as the Jedi's limitations or Luke questioning his purpose. All these shows had a common thread, the threads linked by critical thinking. All of them shared a commitment to trusting the audience by assuming the intellectual prowess of their viewers, treating them as serious consumers of elevated ideas rather than just looking for mindless entertainment. You can see now sci-fi shows with these kinds of fundamental ideas would be considered provocative to the corporate mindset. These shows operate on pushing the boundaries of the cognitive limits and would be viewed as profitably dangerous to a structure that depends on mindless consumption. This is the battle for the mind, which shouldn't be surprising to those who understand in the corporate battlefield of America. And the West, there's a war against critical thinking, which is why it is counterproductive to pick on the low-hanging fruit of this just being a liberal issue. Let me be clear, the reason why shows are pushing social logical issues, or what I would like to call woke contaminated content, because it is meaningless filler, to distract from the extraction of meaningful thought-provoking content. They push sensation rather than exploration. They make their story more melodramatic rather than having satisfying resolutions. They stay focused on drama without purpose because these things are time-consuming, addicting measures rather than focusing on self-reflection. That fosters critical thinking. Here's a little FYI on the historical aspect of critical thinking warfare. The Bible is recognized as a profoundly thought-provoking text that consistently challenged the social, religious, and cultural norms, and was attacked by kings and nations. This is an understandable battlefield that is forged in the twisted mindset of the corporate quarterly earnings. It's a war on critical thinking driven by corporate narratives and systemic structures that is designed to foster compliance, which media critics, philosophers, and analysts all conclude the modern information systems prioritize passive consumption over active critical analysis. This, they argue, transforms citizens into compliant participants who accept provided narratives without questioning them. Medium.com says that algorithmic recommendations in general have made us passive consumers, leading to a decline in critical thinking. The fact is, America is experiencing a rise in anti-intellectualism and a decline in critical thinking, driven by polarized political discourse, social media echo chambers, and educational shifts away from analytical skills. This war manifests through attacks on expertise, book bans, and the disparagement of objective analytical thought processes, replacing intellectual retort with whataboutism, which threatens democratic engagement. You see, this attack is bigger than just sci-fi shows. This is an attack on stability and institutions pushed by a system and people toxically insecure culturally, paranoid about the system ever being analyzed in a way that reveals flaws, egged on by an uncontrollable, addicted obsession to control the narrative in a social algorithmic way. That's the corporate paradox, the endless profit seeking, which is destructive in itself, actually overrides the stability of critical thinkers because they have the potential to limit profit overreach with thoughtful foresight. Remember, I told you about how the corporate mindset prepares the groundwork just like a farmer. And that's just what they're doing, preparing the groundwork for a society that needs to be harvested in the future. A strategic, long-term outlook, preparation of the masses, the mindset to be more compliantly malleable to consume even more. This is not hyperbole or some future far-off event. This already happens on a daily basis, and it's been well documented. Children are targeted by corporations because of their cognitive developing mind, which doesn't have the correct barriers to fend off destructive advertising campaigns. Women are another group that has been historically targeted by corporations because they have statistically found out that they are motivated more by social norms of their peers.
Lady Sunbeam Flare, the fashionable hairdryer, for less than $15. It's marvelously slim and feminine.
It really pisses me off as well when certain companies try and go in on women's insecurities. It's constantly the girls, does this work, does this work, does this work? I'm like, no, it doesn't.
So in the end, as long as the insatiable hunger for profit still runs the corporate world along with the entertainment system, there will be a constant battle for the mind. And shows like Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, and many more will be on the forefront of the critical thinking battlefield. So what can you do? Start by promoting education that teaches how to think rather than what to think, encouraging the evaluation of evidence, and fostering the willingness to engage with opposing viewpoints. Read books that challenge readers to look beneath the surface of everything they've been conditioned to accept, offering tools to rebuild a critical, thought-provoking psychology. You see, lemmings never question their destination, even if it's leading to a precipice of their own demise. And if you believe humans can't be trapped by the death march mentality, you're sadly mistaken. This is why sci-fi shows that cultivate critical thinking are immensely important. Their role as a self-diagnosis apparatus of a system that allows them to critique a society to see if it's infected with a social contagion of self-destruction. It was Captain Kirk who said, I don't believe
we can stop. In fact, through all our existence, the frightened and faint-hearted have been warning men not to push any further, not to learn anymore, not to hope, grow, and exceed themselves. I don't believe we can stop. I don't believe we're meant to.